Hello, hello. I got this working right. So I read somewhere that right now, for whatever reason, when people go live, Facebook isn't like automatically telling people. So I apologize if nobody is getting notification that we're doing this live and you're just catching the repeat here or the replay. Um, I don't know how to fix that. I don't even know if there is a fix for that. But if you are finding this live, thanks for joining us. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for joining us. I just had a couple questions that people have sent in to me, so I figured I'd do a quick Q&A. I did want to let everybody know we do have some stuff coming up. There's actually, I want to say, 4 to 5 different projects I got working on for this channel right now. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. So if you're just joining us now, I'll get into that in a couple minutes here. I figure I'll just get to some of these questions, and if you have any questions that you wanna ask, just throw them in the chat, and we'll certainly try to get to those. So most of these are wrestling related, but I always kind of like the ones that are a little outside of wrestling. So somebody had asked who I thought the greatest host was, and I'm assuming they meant for pro wrestling, but just in case, I have both answers really. So like for me, a host is somebody who's like a Mean Gene Okerlund, right? Like he's not necessarily commentating, but maybe he is. But he's basically running the show. Vince McMahon was the host for years, and then he also did commentary. So for me, it was always Joey Styles from ECW and Lance Russell for Memphis Wrestling, and two of my favorite commentators too, for very different reasons. But Joey Styles fit that time period so well, and Lance Russell is sort of just timeless. Like you can pretty much play his commentator during any period, and it just kind of works. But as far as a host that's not wrestling related, my go-to answer is always Bob Barker from The Price is Right. I know a lot of people like the Jeopardy guy or any of those other ones, but I always thought Bob Barker did an awesome job on The Price is Right. It was always fun to watch. And I mean, I remember just not going to school and watching the Price is Right, on like a sick day. I think we answered this before, but somebody had asked who my favorite wrestler was. I don't know if they meant independent or just all over the place, but my answer is always Jerry Lawler. For the longest time, I would say Shawn Michaels, because probably Shawn Michaels in the ring is the greatest of all time. I don't think, outside of Ric Flair, I think you have a hard argument with anybody else. But for me, it's now Lawler, and the reason is because of his versatility, right? Like he does commentary well. He was a promoter, and he did that really well. He was a wrestler, not just a wrestler, a main event wrestler for decades, and sold out in one area of the country almost every week for years and years and years. And then the list goes on and on, because he was a booker, and you can just think that any job there is in pro wrestling, Jerry Lawler did, and to my knowledge, he did all of them very well. So he's kind of my go-to answer. And then I had another question, and I apologize. I didn't write anybody's name down, the people who had emailed me or commented on videos with these questions. So I just kind of wrote the question down. So if this is your question, just let me know. So I have a feeling this person didn't speak English well, because they asked I sort of changed the wording of it, so it made a little bit more sense. But they were asking if a wrestling booker is like an editor. And at first I didn't get the question, but then I thought about it a little bit, and I guess so. If you're watching the show with the mind, as a booker, you're watching the show with the mindset of how it is, of what's actually happening in front of you, versus how you want it to be, right? So you're seeing stuff in real time, and then in your head you're thinking, when it comes time to chop this up, am I going to cut this here? Am I going to let this go on a little bit longer? I know for a fact there's been a ton of shows we've done where my rule is always send the crowd home happy, but I don't always want the show to end that way. So anytime I don't want the show to end on a high note, I'll cut right before, the babyface comes out and makes a big save. Just so that the live crowd has a different experience than people watching at home, and vice versa. And it also changes the tone of the end of the show. So if for that purpose, I guess a wrestling booker is like an editor, if that's kind of what you were asking. But I mean, you're also kind of a fortune teller too, right? Because before it happens, you have a picture in your mind of how it should look. And your hope is that your talent can make it the same or better. And I've been fortunate that most of the time, the people we've worked with have done just that. They've made, my ideas better. And there's been very few scenarios where it just didn't work out. And I mean, there's going to be times, and it's unfortunate to say, there's times where you go into a show knowing that it's not going to be your best show, and then sometimes the talent will pull through and just turn it into this amazing show that you don't really expect. So that goes back to having the right people in place and having the right team established and everything like that. So a couple of the things that and I'm just getting rid of these questions as I'm answering them so I don't double up. There's a couple things that we're working on right now that I wanted to let you guys know. So I have more of the series with Dutch Mantel. So I have that all edited and it's ready to go. But the way I do these things is I usually will get together 10 to 15 episodes, all pretty close to edited or at least filmed. And then I'll start uploading them every week. That's why I say every single Thursday, because it goes every single Thursday for, a quote unquote season. And then I take a little bit of time off and then usually jump back in it. Because my friend Vin was giving me shit about saying every single Thursday when it's not legitimately every single Thursday. But the intro is too long if you say every single Thursday for 3 months and then off a month. It just gets complicated. So I have the thing with Dutch coming up. There's actually a couple episodes of that that I don't know that I'll put all of those out right away. But over the next year or two, I'll get them all out there. And then I have some other stuff with some names that you've heard of if you're fans of pro wrestling, and they'll be on this channel as well. I have more backstage footage that I filmed over the last couple shows that we'll be taking a look into. We had the experience. If you caught last week's or 2 weeks ago live stream where I talked about the Super 8, I have the whole detailing, Ricky Morton not being able to make it to the show through no fault of his own, but he wasn't able to make it to the show, and he was kind of the headliner. So I have that whole kind of story that I'm putting together. And then my friend and I are actually in the process of working on a new series, kind of detailing some of our earlier footage. Like I don't know if I've said it before, but there's probably, over the 20 years I've been involved in wrestling, backyard and professional, I've amassed, I don't remember what the hour value was, but I know it equated to something like if you sat down and watched the footage from start to finish, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it would take you 3.5 to 4 weeks to complete. So whatever that number breaks down to, that's how many hours of wrestling footage I have. Hey guys, I see people are saying hi in the chat right now. What's going on, guys? So my friend and I are going to be looking at some of these older clips, which will contain, real shows, backyard shows, and kind of watching them with 2021 vision, I guess is the best way to say it. Kind of looking back at, what we could have done better, what we need to work on or what we needed to work on. And then just some of it just cringing. And, it was backyard wrestling, and, we were 16 years old at the time. So I'm looking to put that together with him, and that's going to be a series that we're going to be putting out pretty regularly here on this channel. So I'm excited about that. Well, like anything, it just comes down to having the time to film it, and that's always a pain. The older you get, the harder it is to find time to film stuff. So let me get to the next question I had. This was a good one, and I didn't think too much about it ahead of time, but somebody had asked, who's somebody you wanted to work with who died before you were able to? And that came out the same day that the New Jack question, or the New Jack death was announced. So I don't know if it was because of that somebody was asking that. But I'll be honest, I loved ECW, but I was way too scared to ever hire New Jack. I had the opportunity a couple times, but real or shoot or work, I don't know, and I was too afraid to find out with as regards to New Jack. So he was not on my list. I would always say like Mr. Perfect. And another guy, he's not dead, but he hasn't wrestled since whatever, 93 or something like that, was Ted DiBiase. I'm a big, actually, Ted DiBiase right there. Big $1 Million Man fan. And just Ted DiBiase in general before he was in WWF. So he's not dead, but he's definitely somebody I would have liked to work with. I don't know if there's any other ECW guys I would have liked to work. Maybe Mike Awesome, but I don't know that I would have had him on one of my shows because he was pretty violent too. So I don't know. Like, is there any names I'm missing that you guys can think of? The name that always jumps to me is Mr. Perfect. So Rick Rude's another one that was good. Trying to think of, as I'm looking at my Hasbros, I'm trying to think. Kerry Von Erich would have been cool. No. Everybody I'm looking at is still alive, fortunately. Oh, Legion of Doom. Legion of Doom, definitely. I would have loved to have LOD on one of my shows. Okay. All right. Is there any old wrestling that you're currently watching? And I think I've mentioned this before on this channel, but I only watch old wrestling. I don't watch anything current. And I hate to be that guy who's, I don't have the time to commit to a weekly show anymore. I like something I can watch kind of whenever I want. I don't really pay attention to, regular cable TV. I have all these Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, all those, and I don't really have regular cable, so I don't know that I even could watch weekly wrestling if I wanted to. Maybe there's a way I could. I don't know. But yeah, I do watch old wrestling. I watch lately. I've been back on ECW, but I'm still making my way through all the Memphis stuff from Memphis when it was CWA. And yeah, somebody actually re-edited all the original ECW pay-per-views with the original music, but the new WWF footage that's on the network, so it's really clear, but it's got the original music and stuff. So I've been watching those, and yeah, that is anytime you can get ECW with the original soundtrack, it's just way better. And then somebody asked favorite wrestling TV show. And they asked favorite TV show outside of wrestling, so I guess I'll do that one first. So my all-time favorite show is The Wonder Years. Love it, the nostalgia and everything. Just always loved it. Love the idea of a guy looking back on his childhood because I think everybody, or at least I'm that way. And a lot of people I know are that way, where you're just looking back and saying, oh, but what if we did this and what if we did that? So it does tie into wrestling a little bit for me because I'm imagining storylines and stuff we could have done when we were kids. But outside of The Wonder Years, I think the best written show I've ever seen was Breaking Bad. I always try to recommend that to somebody if they ask a show to watch because I think there's still a lot of people who have never seen that show. And that to me was the one show that blew The Sopranos out of the water. And then just regular like sitcoms. Like I love Friends, and the Friends reunion trailer came out today, and I thought that was awesome. I'm a huge Friends fan, and Everybody Loves Raymond. I always liked. As I get older and older, I'm becoming more of an old man, I guess, and just liking those Nick at Night sitcoms. But for a favorite wrestling TV show, I would say, obviously, I love the Memphis show, but I always loved, and I don't know how many people remember this show. There was a show called WWF Mania, and it wasn't like WrestleMania; it was just Mania. And it was hosted by Todd Pettengill, and it was in like the WWE's headquarters in like their editing department. So like you had all like the server racks around him, and he was hosting the show, and it was very like kid friendly. And they really just took matches that took place on Raw or extra matches that were going to be on Superstars and stuff like that, and they put them in, and then they kind of ran like a slight storyline through the show. Like maybe he was looking for whatever Mr. Fuji or something like that, and it would be this thing that would go on the whole episode. But I always really enjoyed that show. I thought Todd Pettengill was great. He fit that era for me because I was that age at the time. So that's kind of my go-to answer. And then the last question I have here was somebody had said, and I thought this was an interesting question. It was worded differently than this, so I apologize. I kind of broke it down a little different. It was inspirations outside of wrestling who maybe helped you get involved in wrestling. And again, I apologize. I reworded that. It was asked a lot more eloquently than I just put it. But I would always go back to like, I always like the weirdness of like, Andy Kaufman obviously was involved in wrestling, but then like the more modern version for me was like Tom Green. And I liked that style. And then, a couple years later, there was Jackass on MTV, and I just love the philosophy of like run and gun videography, like where you just pick up a camera and just go somewhere and figure stuff out. I've always loved that, and like the early years of our like backyard stuff, and even some of our pro stuff to this day, I'll hand somebody a camera and just ask them to film something. And, sometimes I get crap back, but sometimes, you get really good stuff. And that is all attributed to Jackass, which, in later years became like a gross out show. But for me, it was like cutting edge, and I was super, super into Jackass. And then like for more like calm and mellow days, it's like I always liked Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross. So those were always two shows. Same thing with like The Price is Right. I would just stay home and, on sick days and watch those. And I don't know that they're necessarily inspirations because I don't think I'm in any way like Mr. Rogers or Bob Ross, but those are always two guys I always enjoyed watching. So I figured I'd put them on this list. And then obviously you got countless, pro wrestling inspirations and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, those are the main ones that jump out. I think that Jackass doesn't get enough credit for how influential it was on people in the early 2000s who, would go out there and pick up a camera and just start filming stuff for better or worse with their friends. I think it probably did some, I don't want to say bullying, but there was probably some vandalism or other stuff that was done, but some of it could have been done with good intentions and good purposes. And I think that gave young kids like this outlet for creativity. Actually, we even did stuff like that when we were not wrestling. We would just pick up a camera and just, go to whatever, a 7-Eleven down the street from our house and just start talking to the people there and doing whatever we could to just make each other laugh. And then, try to show it to other people, and nobody was ever interested. So yeah. And that's the last question I got. We do have some other giveaways that we're going to be doing on the channel in the next couple weeks here. We just gave that belt away. So if you didn't watch the last video, check that out because it does have the winner in that video. So I haven't heard anything from the person who did win. So if that was you, get in touch with me, and I detail exactly how to do that in that video. So I'm still waiting for the winner of the belt to contact me. If I don't hear from them, probably by what day is today? Today's the 19th. So if I don't hear from them by, let's say, the middle of June or the end of June, we'll go ahead and get that belt awarded to somebody else. But I do have some other giveaways that we're going to be doing. Some are wrestling belts. Some are some different stuff that's not wrestling belts. But we'll get to all that in the coming weeks when we kind of return to normal here a bit. But yeah, so as far as the other belt, if we do have to give it away, it'll still go with the people who entered it. We'll just pull another name and announce it on the channel and let them kind of claim their prize. And if they don't, we'll move on down the line. Keith Scott said, "Hi, how are you?" I'm doing well, Keith. How are you? I'm pretty much done here. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer them. But I think I pretty much went through everything I wanted to get through. The only thing I didn't talk about was I would try to put a belt for like the thumbnail. It makes you throw a thumbnail when you do this live thing. So the one I did was the Turkey Bowl belt, which we've done the Turkey Bowl like match. Like I did like a walkthrough of what was involved in that. And we always put everybody's name on the belt. I don't know. Does that come out backwards for you guys too? Or is that just backwards on my camera? Yeah, that looks all backwards. I don't know. So maybe let me know if that's backwards for you guys. That's weird. But that's the belt we use for that. So we have 2 spots that are blank. And my goal for this year is to actually do the Turkey Bowl outside because I just really want to do an outside show in November in the fall. I love that kind of weather. So right now I have like 15 of my friends who are signed up to do it. I actually have people who are going to fly in to do it. So how should I make sure I get booked? I don't know what that means. If you're talking about booked on one of our shows, we're not really looking for anybody right now. I kind of have my core group that I use, and then I have like a list that I kind of go through of who I rotate in and out through the company. But you can always email the promotion directly if you're looking to get booked, and we just kind of put your information on file, and if there's an opening or something we think will fit you, we'll definitely reach out. But for any wrestlers out there who are thinking of doing that, just know that like we literally I probably get 20 to 30 different requests from people all over the country looking to get booked. So it's not that promoters are trying to ignore you. It's that there's so many hours in the day, and 99% of wrestling promoters are doing this on a part-time basis. So to respond to every single one of those, even with a boilerplate like blanket response, is time consuming. So if anybody's emailing me, just know that I do get to them all. And if it's a request for booking, I save them. I don't always respond to all of them. I try my best. If you email me directly for this channel, I usually will try to get back to everybody, but even that is a slow response just because of life getting in the way here. I'm still in training. Well, that's good, man. Good for you. Keep it up, and just keep plugging away. There's gonna be days you want to quit and stuff like that, but just keep moving towards the goal and do your best, and eventually it'll all work out for you. How old do you have to be to get booked? I would say you have to be at least 18. But we're not using people who are right out of training 9 times out of 10. We're using people with a couple of years experience because the promotion I'm booking for right now we sort of have a without getting into an ego side of it, this promotion, and I didn't have anything to do with it. This promotion was established before I got involved, but it sort of is higher up than maybe your entry level promotions, I would say. So if an entry level promotion is a D promotion, we're a C or a B. Do you know what I mean? Like, and obviously you have your A level indie promotions that are, whatever you want to call them, like the PWG or something like that. Those kind of guys where they're all over the place and everybody knows who they are. But we're not usually using people right out of training. They're usually, experienced a little bit. And that's just being completely honest. I would love to just lie to you and say, hey, just come one, come all, and then hang up here. But that's, that'd be untruthful and unfair to you guys. I just try to give you the honest answer. We just generally don't use guys who are right out of training, but there's always exceptions to the rule. I keep getting notifications for this Fringe trailer, man. I'm really excited. I got to go back and watch it now. So that's pretty much it for this one. I just wanted to come on and answer a couple of those questions. Let you guys know that we got a lot of good stuff coming up. We're working on some stuff. A lot of it's actively filmed. Some of it's still in development. And then there's more that is going to be filmed, and there's more stuff that just needs to be edited. So we're kind of in various stages across the board, but we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We're excited to share it with you guys. As always, thank you for checking out this video. Thank you if you're subscribed here. Thank you if you're not. Please subscribe because you're not going to want to miss some of the stuff that's coming out. So yeah, that's it. I appreciate everybody. Everybody have a good rest of the week here, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.